Yep.
All right. Hey guys, what's up? Sermo11 here, and
EarthEagleGT, what's up?
so today we're going to be discussing and reviewing Stephen Bomb 6, and I thought the Stephen Bomb was okay. It definitely leads into some interesting things with the next special, but overall, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Stephen Bomb, and if you watch the last video, it kind of sounds like my thoughts from the last one. But just giving your quick thoughts on the Stephen Bomb, what did you think?
Just quickly, overall, I actually liked it a lot. I thought it was really cool. I thought the suspense and mystery was very interesting. Like, what's happening to some of the members of Beach City? Is it Jim's kidnapping them? Which, I mean, it kind of got cleared up right away. And, like, why are they doing this? And then the reason to why they end up doing this is very interesting. It kind of shows that, like, everything that Steven's done or everything that a lot of these characters do end up going around full circle and always come back to have their conclusion. So nothing's a loose end, and I think that's pretty cool.
I think like everything that happens to people, like gem-wise, is kind of associated with Steven. So I'm not sure. I think Lars might have brought this up. I'm not sure if Lars brought this up in the past, but like, like if these people start having more troubles with gems and everything, they can like maybe blame Steven. I'm not sure if that'll happen, but that could be like a potential plot point in the show, and that might be interesting as the show goes on. So I guess we can jump into the episodes, if that's fine.
No, yeah, definitely, yeah.
All right, so the first episode was Lion 4 Alternate Ending. This episode was simply okay. I didn't really see it as important overall or important to the Stephen Bomb. Stephen, he's with Lion and they're watching Rose's VHS tapes, and he's trying to get like a special message out of it, and Lion eventually ends up coughing up a key. Stephen, he's trying to use this key somewhere, so he goes into Lion's dimension, Rose's orrery, Rose's fountain, and Rose's room within the temple to see where the key goes, and he just can't find where it works. And he begs Lion to help him, and Lion eventually does. They go to the desert, and they enter a new location, which is Rose's landfill, and there's a lot of trash there, and Steven finds a new VHS tape, and it says Nora on it, and the big plot twist is that his name was almost Nora.
Yeah, I mean, the also plot twist is like Steven could have almost been a girl, like, and I guess that like this is a pretty much a throwaway episode. Like I don't even know it's alternate ending, so I don't know if this is technically even going to be brought up ever again in the Steven Universe series. And I'm thinking it's probably definitely an inside joke for the writers, especially Rebecca Sugar, because she probably thought at one point making Steven a girl and calling her Nora. And,
well. I actually know why this happened. Her name, Rebecca Sugar, her name was almost Nora.
Oh, when she was younger.
What?
When she was like, when she was younger, like before she was born.
Yeah, her name was almost Nora. That's why they did this.
That's funny too. And I mean, and also again, I guess it could play into my point too. Like, she could have almost made Steven's name Nora too. But I like how that's a cool little parallel between the two. That's interesting. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, I like when creators put like their, I guess like their own personal lives. They put themselves in their work and everything. Mm-hmm. You can kind of see that with a lot of cartoons.
Yeah.
I thought Steven was a little too upset that his name was almost Nora. I didn't really get that. Like, it's normal for families to have names picked out if the child is a boy or a girl.
I thought he was more upset because he thought that like
there was another child.
Yeah, that like because they made it such a big deal of like they did all this for him, and then I thought he was upset because there's a possibility there could have been another one. Like, am I like I guess it is selfish of him to be like, am I not as special as like people?
I thought he was kind of like pushing with that point. I'm like,
yeah, but I do see his point because they made it such a big deal because his mom sacrificed her life for Steven. So I do see his point that like it's like. Is he not as big as a deal as they've been making it out to seem? Because of course he'd be upset. Because if that's the case, then like why make him seem to be such a big deal if he's not? So I do see his point with that. I never thought it was like the reason that his name was Nora. I just thought it was like the possibility that like because I feel like right when he found out that like they didn't know if he was going to be a boy or a girl, he understood like the reasoning behind Nora. I think he just jumped to conclusion and thought it was like something different. Because like it was the whole tape, and then it was like, oh, is there somebody else? Did you think it was going to be another person? And they just didn't know what Steven was going to turn out to be. So I felt like he understood that immediately. I thought he was just, because I was definitely confused too. I was like, why is it like this? Like why is there like another tape? But it makes sense to me.
I kind of agree with what you were saying. Like, the more we're talking about this, like you said, it could be like a throwaway episode. I'm like, it's kind of starting to sound more like that unless this comes up later. I don't know.
Yeah, I especially since it's alternate ending. I think it's not even necessary in continuity. I don't even think. I think it's definitely a throw because it doesn't even affect the rest of the Steven bomb. Because the Steven bomb doesn't officially start. I mean, it starts at line 4, but it doesn't officially start till Dugout. So. I mean,
I thought this episode. Yeah, this episode was actually leaked before. We don't really need to get back into the leaks because we talked about that for a while in the last video. But this episode was leaked like way before the Steven bomb. So it probably is on its own, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this episode could have went somewhere if the key went to something special, but it's just this tape. Did he even use the key at all?
I don't think so. Maybe it is in continuity and he'll use the key later. I don't know.
It's just weird that Rose has all these secrets and stuff. It's like, oh, we're having a child. Let's create some puzzles for him to solve or something. It's like, why can't things be straightforward with you?
Yeah, she's making it way more complicated. Maybe that's like just the gym way. I don't even know.
Yeah, that could be like, like they're different with, I guess she's like never raised a child or anything. So like, maybe that's like how she does things. This was something we were starting to get into in the last discussion. I'm starting to get kind of tired of the Beach City episodes. Even though we're recording these like back to back, it was actually a long time from Steven Bomb 5 to Steven Bomb 6, and we had a lot of Beach City episodes. And I was kind of just getting tired of the Beach City episodes. They don't really add anything to the plot, or they might add a little bit to the plot. And especially when the Beach City episodes outnumber the major plot episodes, that's when I start having a problem. Because it's like, we're going to go into space. We're back at Beach City. All right, we have a few episodes of Beach City. That's fine. Everyone's getting character development. And then they keep going with those Beach City episodes. And that's when I just kind of like had a problem with the way the Steven Universe is going.
Yeah, but I think it's different for this, though, because this leads into space. And this wasn't just like, oh, he's just back in town. Like, people were getting kidnapped from his town. And that was like the main reason. Because I think they realize by now that they can't just stay in the town. That's why they're going to space. And, of course, we don't know how long they'll be in space, how many episodes they'll be in space. But I think this is because once you go in space and you experience that world, it's going to be hard to come back to Beach City because we've pretty much seen it all, and we've met pretty much, if not all, the characters. So I think they know that their hands drawn out. That's why, especially like the characters picked for like to be kidnapped was like Jeremy's the mailman's name, right? Or Jamie, Onion, and Lars and Sadie. And then this just leads into, finalizing those characters because we haven't seen those characters in a while, especially Jamie and Onion. And then the one thing I agree with you on that is what you didn't bring this up, but it feels like it's getting tiring from Beach City is the Lars and Sadie thing. That is so unnecessarily complicated, which I guess that's how real life relationships can be. But Lars just does the dumbest things. And I understood for this Steven Bomb, him running away, because that keeps in his character. But how he interacts with Sadie is so frustrating. And that's tiring to me.
Well, I think it's like she obviously likes him.
And he obviously likes her. So it's like, it's just he doesn't show
it. Yeah, but like I think she's more like expressive with it, whereas for him it's more situational where like, oh, we're alone, so he's probably like nicer at that point or something like that. And then when other people are around, he feels like he has to change who he is. Yeah. But I feel like that's more so a problem with Lars rather than Sadie. And I guess Sadie's not really like making a move or anything. Like the only like love or like romantic progression that they had was like when they were on that island with Steven, and then the other the part where Steven like takes over Lars's body. And it felt like things were going to progress, but obviously Steven's a child and he's not Lars, so That's all I can say on that.
No, definitely. It's
But I
yeah.
I just feel like that's more so a Lars thing. Like Lars' development, it feels like they're gonna develop him, and then they push him like right back to like where he was.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we get some development with Lars in the special, but we'll get into that. I still had a few more things to say about what episode is this? Lion 4. So what was I gonna say? I was thinking maybe we could come back to the landfill at some point. Maybe there might be something that he didn't see. They went back to the desert, so maybe we can learn about the pack of lions that Rose had that was never explained, but who knows?
Yeah. I think we are going to go back because how she met Lion is super interesting because we don't know that yet. So there has to be that.
And I mean, lion's pink, so obviously there has to be like some sort of explanation there.
And why she decided, if we even figure out why she decided not to tell any of the crystal gems about Lion. And
Yeah.
why Lion decided to come now. Like, I feel like all that would probably be answered in one episode. That's all it needs. It doesn't need multiple. It just needs one episode just to figure that out.
Well, if it is that simple, but who knows?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, yeah. Who knows?
'Cause
Who knows?
I want them to take their time with some of these plot points.
Well, yeah, that's definitely something that's not going to be discussed now because, especially they're off in space. Lion, I mean, Lion could technically warp directly to them. I don't if maybe he has to know where they are to warp to them. I don't know how Lion's powers work either.
He's just a magical lion.
Yeah, so that's Lion's backstory. I feel like we won't figure out till later in this season, if not the next season. If there is a next season, you know.
Yeah, there might be. Considering they split up season 3 and 4, and I don't think we know how long season 5 is going to be. So if season 5 is like a short one again, or what is it, maybe like 26 episodes or something, we can get like a season 6 or something. Because I was like wondering at the end of the Steven Bomb, I'm like, wow, it seems like they're kind of building up to a finale. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, we need more development in space before we end this show off. So we'll see about that. But next up is Dugout, and this episode of the Steven Bomb, I thought this one was a surprise. It stars Steven, Connie, and Connie's dad as they help him with his job as security guard, and someone has been entering Funland after hours, and this is kind of like how we're actually getting into the Steven Bomb. And later that night, the three of them notice that the fence to Funland has been broken, and Connie's dad kind of talks about like, hey, this is like a metal fence and everything, or it's like a metal lock on the fence. You can't really break this without a weapon or something like that. And eventually they find Onion, and they think that he's the one who's broken into Funland, but he clearly isn't. It's just the fact that they can't understand him. Because, he's like, wow, 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 wow. In fact, Onion was the one being chased, and they leave him alone, and by the end of the episode, we see some shadowy figures, and Onion gets kidnapped. So, I guess I'll give my thoughts first. I guess I thought Connie's family was a little bit lame because of her mom. I think her mom was overprotective. I'm not sure if both of her parents were overprotective or something.
I think how our introduction to the parents, it seemed like they were both overprotective, but after meeting Connie's dad, it doesn't seem like he's the one. It seems like it's more, because we officially met mom, like she had her own episode. So I think it's definitely more her than him.
It's probably like a real life situation where like the parents, like they act similar when they're together, but then like, to make it seem like, they don't disagree or anything. And then like when they're apart, they're different people.
Because he's definitely more like free flowing than the mom is.
Yeah, her dad's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think much of him in the past, but I'm glad he had a lot of focus in this episode. I like the gag with the flashlight, and like for comedy aspects, I think he works well with Steven and Connie. So definitely bring this character back more. Rebecca Sugar, if you're watching this. And I liked how the kidnapping plot was in the background. You kind of talked about this earlier. I thought that was a nice touch. And Steven also dresses up like the Mario Bros in this episode.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
We kind of went back and forth on that. If you had any more thoughts that you wanted to give.
Just two quick things in this episode. Weird thing with Onion, it seems like people can understand him sometimes, but sometimes they can't. Like there was a whole episode where Steven went to his house and they're talking, and he understands him completely. And I don't understand, because Onion's the same as his father. They have that gibberish, but people can still understand them. Like it depends. Some people can, some people can't. So
sour cream, yellowtail, and probably Vidalia can understand them.
Oh, definitely. And Steven can understand for the most part. I that's confusing to me. And
It's like a Pokemon.
exactly. And I already forgot what
Garbanzo.
I already forgot what
Remember that?
yes, that was crazy. That was pretty funny.
All his friends talking like sounds like he does.
Yeah, and I forget what my second point was going to be, but I think it had to do more with like the theme of like dads in this. It's crazy how like in Beach City, the majority of people are single parents. Connie doesn't live in Beach City, so it doesn't affect her. But and it's
well, Lars has his mom and dad.
I was about to say Lars has his mom and dad, and so do Sour Cream's different. He does have a house with parents, even though his dad's not around. And technically, you could say Onion's dad's not around because he's always off fishing, and that was a whole plot point with Onion. He's always waiting for his dad to come home. Which is it's also the gentle moment with that. So officially, that house is pretty much a single parent house because it's mostly just Vidalia there the whole time. Even though Yellowtail comes in and out. So it's interesting that like we see more of the fathers because those are the only fathers. It's Yellowtail, Steven's dad, Connie's dad, and Lars's father. Plus like the people who run the shops like Fryman, and I think that's
Frybo?
And then Pizza Man.
And then Buck has his dad too.
That's right. But those are all
We've never seen his mother though.
That's right. But for the most part, those are all single fathers. Besides Yellowtail and Lars's dad, and Sour Cream's dad. Well, I
think that's pretty cool though. We don't really get to see like single fathers.
Yeah.
In the show. It's normally like a single mother. It's like the dad left or something.
And especially
it's like having like men taking care of their kids.
And especially in this show where it's so female oriented, there's so many like strong female characters. It's cool to see like
it's a good contrast.
It's a good contrast. It doesn't seem like it's too much for either side because we see all these characters so much. Especially we see Greg so much all the time. Especially more recently, he's become more of a main character than like a side character. So
he's more involved with the stuff that's going on with the gyms.
Exactly. I thought this was a cool beginning to the Steven Bomb, or official beginning to the Steven Bomb. And that's all I have to say about this episode.
All right, so next up is the good Lars. And Steven, he's trying this pumpkin bread, and it's really good. And he finds out that Lars made it, and that's a surprise. Buck comes by, and he invites Lars, Sadie, and Steven to his potluck, and he wants them to bring food. And this is the perfect chance for Lars to impress the cool kids. I never understood why Lars liked them so much, but, I guess that's like an aspect of his character. I just don't like the fact that we talked about this earlier, but it doesn't really change. Like Lars, he's always like nervous around these people, and he never gets a chance to like get them to actually like him. Yeah. Because I remember like a few episodes, well, not a few episodes.
I think they do like him though at this point.
But it's weird. Like he's been like such a mean guy, and then like now they like him. I don't. I think the thing with Steven? Because I'm pretty sure they were mad at him once he was like about to beat up Steven because he found out Steven was in his body all day and did all this different stuff.
And they were mad at him before with like when Steven was like, I don't have a mom. Like that when he like that was like an old episode where we first met the cool kids. But I think they like him now because he's been, at least for the more interactions with them, he's not as mean, and he's beginning to actually like himself and be himself more around them. So I felt like this episode was different because I actually did believe. Actually, it was tough because I wasn't sure if Lars was going to stand up everybody, but I did believe at one point he was actually going to the party and he was going to have a good time. And we don't know. I don't know if this will be explained, like when exactly he got kidnapped. Because of course his cake was like in the trash. I don't know if he decided at one point that like, oh, forget this, I'm just going to go away, and then got kidnapped, or he got kidnapped right there, and then his cake just happened to be in the trash. So it's tough to. Again, with the Lars as like him as a character, because he was definitely trying, and it shows with this episode easily. Like Sadie became friends with the cool kids. Like we've known this too. Like the cool kids aren't like these snobby kids. Like they'll be friends with anybody. Like they're going with the flow too. They're just chilling. And maybe like Lars wants to be friends with these kids so bad because these seem to be the only teenagers in the valley. Like of course we see like more when like they go to like these different parties, and especially when Steven and Connie fused, and we met all those other teenage. We didn't meet them, but like we saw.
We met the one guy. I forgot his name.
Who came back? Like yeah, but besides that,
race episode, which wasn't good.
Wait, which one?
The race episode. It was like an Initial D like parody or something. Stevan and the one guy, Kevin or something.
I thought it was cool because that showed like an abusive relationship. I thought the themes of that episode was really cool. I actually enjoyed that episode a lot. But I
think we talked about that.
Yeah, we did talk about that. But even with that, like it seems like these are the only kids in Beach City, so maybe he feels like he had. I forget the Fry kid, but him and Lars aren't on good terms.
Ronaldo. Him and Lars used to be like friends as kids.
Yeah, but those two aren't on good terms for the most. Maybe they are right now. They're on better terms, but not the best. So I feel like Lars he wants to be wanted. I feel like, and it's tough because he can't see that he only needs Sadie for the most part. Like that's all he needs. This big theme of the show is love, and those two definitely care for each other. I don't know. I do believe that Sadie and Lars love each other, but they don't know it. At least Lars, for a standpoint.
Like let's not say love.
Yeah, maybe not love, but they definitely do care for each other. Those two, and
yeah.
It's tough because I did believe that Lars was actually going to come to the party. I wasn't expecting him to get kidnapped. We saw the previews. I definitely knew Sadie was getting kidnapped and Onion was. I didn't expect Lars to. So I kind of was just thinking Lars just ran away.
I'm guessing they showed previews while I was at school because I don't remember seeing any trailers or anything. I just knew a Steven Bomb was coming.
Oh yeah, they posted it on their Twitter and on their YouTube too. So I knew we knew from like at least I knew from like the commercial that Onion and Sadie were definitely getting kidnapped. I didn't know Lars was. I didn't know Jamie was. So those two were definitely surprises. So I kind of just thought Lars was just running away from his problems initially, but then he ended up getting after that. But that's pretty much all I have to say about the good Lars. I thought. It was a bittersweet episode because I did believe Lars was actually going to go to this party. But
I wanted him to go to the party because I was like, this is your chance.
Yes.
I want to see you develop as a character because Lars' character he'll develop and then they'll be like, no, we cannot change Lars. We're going to take him right back to square one.
Exactly.
Now he's mean again and everything. So this is cool. We get to learn more about him. He likes baking. He made this ube cake. I'm not sure if this is a real thing.
I don't know, but it was supposedly tasty. Like it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, Steven and Sadie really liked it, and I was surprised because he made one. They ate the whole thing. That was a lot of food. And then he starts making another one when Sadie leaves and everything. Mm-hmm. And he's still kind of on the fence about the party because he feels like people will think he's lame for being a cook. I'm not sure if they were going to like substitute that for another word, but whatever. I don't know. I don't really think that's lame. Like if I had a friend that could cook, I think that might be a better friend than everyone else. I
think Lars just overreacts. I think that's just what's been shown because I didn't think it was. I know how to cook myself, so I especially when I've talked about like cooking with my friends, no one thinks it's lame. So I think Lars is just way too hard on himself, and it shows. It definitely shows.
I think he overthinks. You were talking about like when Lars gets kidnapped. I'm pretty sure like he decided to go to the party. He had his cake and everything, and whoever we already know who snatched him up, but they snatched him up, and I'm assuming like they didn't want any evidence, so they threw it in the trash or something. Because that's the only thing that makes sense. Because I feel like you wouldn't make a cake and then just throw it away. You're like, I'm at their house. I can't do this.
Well, Lars have done some stuff like that before, being like, forget about this, and just like walked away. And I could definitely see him like getting to the house and then be like, no, and then throwing the cake away and then walking away.
That's such a waste.
I know, but that's who Lars is, though. He'll do something like that, though, and that's what's so frustrating about it.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel bad for his character, but I guess like the end of the episode, because you kind of went through mostly everything. Mm-hmm. Steven and Sadie are leaving the party. They split ways. And the episode ends with Sadie getting kidnapped. They didn't really show it that much, it's just kind of implied. Like I think she turns around and it ends. But I guess I can give my thoughts. I thought this was the best episode of the Steven Bomb so far. Not overall, but so far. I like the fact that we're learning more about Lars. I kind of wrote him off. Like I thought, like, this character's just, he's not going to go anywhere. Like, he's mean. His grades are horrible. They're not really giving him any qualities that can be redeemed. But it turns out he does have some good qualities. He's good at baking and everything. He's just really unsure about himself. And I thought this was finally a chance for him to, get in with the cool kids, finally make some friends besides Sadie, but I felt bad that he never made it to the party. And Sadie, she actually gets some development. She finally gets to know the cool kids. They end up liking her, so maybe we'll see more of them hanging out and all that.
Yeah.
One thing that the show seems to push is that Lars and maybe even Sadie, they view the cool kids as people that are like above them or something. I feel like if they treated the cool kids as equals, some of this awkwardness would be gone. Because you brought this up, the cool kids, they just seem like normal people. They just want to hang out and everything. Mm-hmm. And this is something that happens in real life. You might like see someone, you might like talk to them like here and there. You're like, wow, this guy's really cool and everything. You assume you have to put on like some sort of facade to talk to this person, but you shouldn't do that. You should treat them like a normal person. And I feel like that's the issue that Lars was having. It's just the fact that it's going on for way too long.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a real world thing. Of like you view these cool kids, it's like, oh, they're so above everything, but they're just regular people. So, and I think that you can't fault the cool kids for that because they're not giving away that persona of like they're better than everyone. Like we never like I like when we were first introduced to those kids, I was like, oh, they're gonna be really snobby and uptight. But
that's what I thought.
They've never been like that a single time at all in this series. Like they've all been very cool, very against that whole popularity type thing and just chilling. So I mean
it's a real world thing. I've like experienced it. I've thought like people are cool and everything. I thought they're gonna be like rude and everything. They're like some of the nicest people. So
exactly.
I mean, it's just like you gotta treat people as equals. You can't like treat someone as like they're above you or anything.
Exactly.
But I wasn't like Lars like trying to like suck up to them or anything like that. I just like it's like I gotta change the way when I speak to this person. But again, this is a good episode for good character development for Lars. I feel like some people don't like Lars, but Lars is a pretty good character. So it's just like he's mean.
Exactly. Like, the only character I don't like in the series is Ronaldo because he's just annoying to be annoying, and he hasn't had, I guess, enough character development to make me like him. But I do like Lars because we've seen him so much, and he's had the character development, and we understand to a point where he's coming from. Even though he can be so frustrating and he can revert back to his old ways so easily, I feel like especially after this upcoming event, since he's out in space, he's gonna finally get over the annoyingness of Lars, and that's what we need because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of him just like reverting back and doing these dumb things.
Well, I feel like they won't get rid of it completely because,
of course, not completely.
Like that's not like a real thing to like just like change completely. It's just like he might do it less. He might be more self-aware of like how he's acting and everything, and he might like change it instead of being like I forgot like how he interacts with Steven, but just he'd be like, "Hey, what's up, Steven?" instead of like being like snarky about it or anything like that.
And maybe he'll realize like what he's done and like not being there for Sadie, and then the next time he sees her, he'll actually be there for her because I feel like that's important.
Dude, I'm just thinking about the last episode.
Yeah,
but before we do that, moving on to Are You My Dad? I like this episode because the show finally gets to the main plot of this Steven bomb and what exactly is going on. Steven, he's with the Gems. He's waiting on some khaki pants to be delivered by Jamie, and Jamie never comes by. What were you saying?
No, that's just he's waiting for khaki pants. Like it's just like a weird thing to be like so excited for. Yeah.
So he goes to buy some donuts for him and Amethyst, I believe, and Sadie and Lars are also missing. And Steven even runs into Sour Cream, who's putting up flyers looking for his brother Onion. And Steven, he runs into Barb, and they start looking around to find the missing citizens. And Steven runs into a new gem, and she says, "Are you my dad?" Steven says he's not, and then she leaves immediately. Like, this gem was dedicated to her mission. Like, "Are you my dad?" No. Gone.
Said, oh, see ya. And I think, sorry to even cut you off, but you didn't watch the previews. And the previews, it ended off with her saying, "Are you my dad?" But we didn't see, like, the gem's face. It was just a voice saying, "Are you my dad?" And so
yeah, I did see the preview. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's just been a while.
Okay. Because that was, like, the big moment. And I was like, what? And then in context, it's like, it's still like until we figure out later on in the episode like why she's saying that. It's like what? Like why are you asking this question?
Because that's really good writing. Like how this whole thing turns out.
Yes.
But yeah, I understand. It was like confusing. It's like, does a gem have a dad or like who's asking?
And that's Steven's whole thing. He's like, okay, we have to go find her and help her because like I have a dad and I'm a gem. Maybe there's more of them like me, even though she looks more like a gem. Like maybe she's a doc. Like that was a cool aspect, a cool point. Like that Steven was going for. Like maybe she does actually have a dad. Like because she's a little gem and she looks like a little girl. So it's kind of like yeah, maybe not. Like maybe like if it was like a big gem, saying like are you my dad? It's like what's happening? like that would be a little bit crazy. But the writing in it just made it fit perfectly.
Yeah, it all fits together very well. Steven, he tells the gems about this, and they create sketches based on what he has said, and then they split up to go look for this blue gem. And the crystal gems, they're looking together, and Steven, he's looking with Connie in the forest, and they end up finding this blue gem again. And of course, she asks Connie, "Are you my dad?" And Connie, she takes a different approach than everyone else, and she's trying to help this gem, and it doesn't really work out. And after hearing Steven say Connie's name, the blue gem calls for another new gem known as Topaz, and Topaz is just a fusion of two Topaz gems, and she actually has all of the kidnapped people inside of her. So she unfuses, and now the people are within her arms, and then she does like this clothesline thing, and she fuses with Connie in the middle of the two Topaz gems, and the blue gem, known as Aquamarine, she uses a wand to throw Steven into a tree, and then the episode ends with him passing out. Mm-hmm. So I thought this episode was pretty good, and I liked how the plot was escalating. What they did with Topaz was very unique, with her fusing with people inside of her.
Yeah.
And I think do you want to add anything?
No, that's honestly... I didn't know the gems could do that. Like just fuse with like other items or people just with them. Like not even like they're not fused with them, but they're like in them. Like it's so weird. Like it's interesting, and I'm glad that was a very scary looking at like see those organs just hanging out. Like I don't know if this was this episode or the next episode where I forget what the little blue gem's name is, but it's telling Aquamarine. It's telling Topaz to maybe kill some of them, and it's holding Jamie's face, and Jamie just looks terrified. Like it's like oh, like Topaz could actually crush Jamie's head, and I even I posted a picture of that on my Twitter, of that moment of her like holding Jamie's head, because it just like it's like the face he gives is just terrifying.
I mean, when you think about it, the gems are actually really powerful.
Yes, yes.
I remember Ronaldo fought the crystal gems, and he was like really hurt like immediately. He might have fought Steven too or something. This is like the episode where they were at the lighthouse or something. So
yeah.
He got hurt pretty fast. I think at this point, oh and yeah, I like the whole thing with the people being trapped in Topaz. Hopefully they could all breathe. I think at this point people can notice that something's up with like the whole my dad thing, because like she keeps saying my dad, and like people like Connie went into that. I think it was like the difference between like my dad and your dad, and she's like, I'm not looking for your dad, I'm looking for my dad, and all that. I didn't really like the whole khakis joke. It was very random, and like the way this episode started off, I thought it was going to be a little bit like fillerish, but I'm glad I was wrong. And it's always nice to be introduced to new gems.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, it definitely made more sense when Connie was like, okay, let's find your dad. And it's like, no, I don't want your dad, I want my dad. It's like, what? But yeah, in context, yeah, I have way more to talk about the next episode, but this is pretty much all on this. So yeah, I agree with you. I like this episode a lot because it was cool to see more gems, and it was cool to see what happened to the people, and it was a good introduction to these new gems that we met.
This episode and the last episode are great to watch, like back to back.
Yeah, and
it's like they pretty much lead into each other.
And what also is weird, Aquamarine looks like she has the same gem as Lapras. Like they look like they were like they're both like teardrops or raindrops.
I think I was drop top. I think I was on Twitter, and then I saw that it was either Twitter or like YouTube. Someone mentioned like some of the blue gems, or maybe even all of them, can like fly, or like they have like water powers or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that'll come up later.
Yeah. So maybe all the blue gems are pretty much the same. I know they're much more royal, especially. I don't know if
I've seen like Sapphire's powers though.
I feel like the diamonds are just. We haven't seen any of their powers, and I know they're just
Sapphire has like ice powers.
Yeah, and I know they're just going to be crazy. whatever
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are.
That's in the preview for Wanted. We see like Yellow Diamond like shooting something. But yeah, sorry for interrupting you.
That was it. We can go on to the next episode.
All right, so the final episode of Stephen Bomb 6 is I Am My Mom. Now you guys have to bear with me because this episode had a lot more going on than the other episode, so there's a lot more things to discuss. There's a lot more things to like summarize. So Steven, and feel free to jump in whenever you want to. Steven and the Gems are going over the situation so far, and Steven mentions that Topaz and Aquamarine, what? Hold on. I'm going to cut this out, but
Okay.
yeah, I'll cut it out. I don't care. Just Topaz and Aquamarine and Pearl's reaction. Okay, so yeah, Steven, he mentions Topaz and Aquamarine to the Crystal Gems, and Pearl's reaction lets me know that these gems are not to be messed with, as they are, I guess they were hired or they were sent straight from the diamonds. And the gems, they split up to look for Aquamarine and Topaz. And Steven, he's calling Connie's phone and everything. I believe she sends him a picture of something. And he follows the ringtone. I believe they're by Funland or in Funland at this point. And this was all set up by Aquamarine and Topaz to kidnap them. He ends up getting kidnapped by Topaz. And Aquamarine, she continues to ask where my dad is. And Aquamarine, she goes through a list of people that she's supposed to get and how this report was from Peridot. And then Steven, he has a flashback, and he remembers telling Peridot about all his friends, and this was a callback to season 1.
A throwback, way back to when we first met Peridot. It's like, oh, there's another gem. Way back.
That was crazy. Like, that shows how far in advance they've either written this show or they at least know where the plot is going. And this was fantastic. I was really proud of this moment and what they did with this.
No, same. It surprised me that like that was her list. It was from something that Steven just said offhand, and he was like, because Peridot was like, "Are you the only human?" He's like, "No, there's the mailman, there's Lars, Sadie, my dad, Onion, my dad," and it's like those were like also those were the first characters ever introduced, and I mean first human characters introduced through the series, because even Jamie, he just had a quick cameo in season 1. He didn't even have any lines. So we just saw him deliver the mail to him one day. Like, that was before we met Jamie. Jamie wasn't even until season 2. So it's crazy how, like, it just progressed all the way to this point.
And I think this is also showing, like, the diamonds, they're trying to, well, it's probably Blue Diamond. She's probably taking the, she's, like, probably trying to get rid of the crystal gems at this point. Because she's, like, it seems like everyone's in love with someone, so like we get to like Blue Diamond's in love with Pink Diamond. I'm not sure if that's pushing it or not, but like she's upset.
No, I think so. I would definitely say they were in love, or at least one-sided.
So she's pretty much blaming the crystal gems. That's what I'm thinking. So she sends like I guess like the best like I don't know, these guys are mercenaries, the best like assassins, the best people they have that are really high up, Aquamarine and Topaz, to kidnap people. And I mean, things are getting serious, so I think we're going to start getting more into, like, the plot with the diamonds, but we can get into that later. So, as we talked about it, Steven, his list was what he gave to Peridot, so that would mean that my dad is referring to Greg. And Garnet, she tries to attack Topaz, but Topaz uses the humans as a shield, so Garnet stops. And it's funny how Aquamarine, she brushes off the crystal gems, but they'd probably lose the fight if they didn't have the humans within Topaz. Like if they weren't using the humans as like a shield or something, they probably would have been defeated. Yeah. I would say.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Oh, definitely, because that was the moment too. They're using these weapons and they're almost like hitting these people, and it's like, oh, like it definitely tells like it's definitely a big defense. Like Topaz is definitely, we haven't heard her speak or either of the two speak, but definitely is smart enough to know to use these people as like, oh, you want to attack me, you're gonna have to hit them first. So
I feel like if this was like Jasper or something, and she was like fused with someone, she had like people inside her, she would like unfuse just to fight.
I can see that, yeah.
So they end up getting defeated by Topaz and Aquamarine, and this is a moment you brought up. Topaz tries to kill Jamie, like her hand has his head in it. And this is like where Steven Universe is like, wow, things got really serious really fast. And Steven's like, I have to stop this. So he's like, he says he is my dad to like stop them from killing Jamie.
Yeah.
Because Aquamarine was like, they didn't really say if we can bring the humans in alive or dead. It doesn't really matter. So Steven's like, he has to stop this. And I feel like this kind of like pushed him to like what kind of, I guess like his mental state for the rest of the episode. So Aquamarine and Topaz, they get on the ship and leave. They have Steven with them. Steven's inside of Topaz at this point, and he's been trying to form a bubble this entire time, and he ends up actually making the bubble, which undoes Topaz's fusion, which is something that we've never seen before. Something that's not in the fusion, but it's within the fusion, but not part of the actual fusion. And Steven, like, he just separates them. And the humans are scattered, and Steven and Connie, they start fighting Topaz, and Connie even mentions fusion, which I thought would have been really interesting to see Stevani versus Topaz fused. Yeah. But Steven, he's very worried, and he's just not in the right mental state to fuse right now. I thought it would have been I already said that. Sadie, she's picked up by one of the Topaz gems, and she calls out to Lars for help, but then he hides under the steps. You kind of were talking about like the romantic relationship and all that. What are your thoughts on that?
It's tough because when they were on the island, he definitely fought for her, but I think Sadie was more fighting for him.
And those threats were smaller on the island too.
And definitely, and I understand where Lars is coming from because that was a big moment, and that was definitely scary for everyone there because he was.
I would have hid too.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel for him, but I understand why Sadie was kind of let down, and it's tough. It's tough.
Well, I think she kind of sees them as like more than friends. So like, I guess in relationships, people like expect that like their partner to like protect them or something.
Well, even in friendships, for like a situation like that, like it'd be weird if she was giving her hand out to Steven and Steven ran away.
Well, Steven has he has the power to help though.
He does. I do want, but I'm saying like even with that, like if it was Connie, like Connie doesn't have the power, but if she ran away, I don't know if let's say I don't know if Connie and Sadie are friends, so I can't say that. But you know what I'm saying, like it still would have, because she was definitely crushed, but she got out of that situation on her own, right? Or at least the help of Connie, I think.
I don't remember,
but she got out of that situation pretty quick after that point. But yeah, it's crazy because then that leads up to like them all trying to escape the ship.
Yeah, because they open up the ship stops because Alexandrite ends up stopping the ship before it leaves Earth. And I really like this because, they leave with Steven, but the gems are not going to let this happen. They fuse and they grab the ship before it goes off. And they notice that the ship is stopped, so they open up the door to escape. Yeah, and they're all like jumping out. Onion jumps out first. Sadie, Connie, Steven has to like pick up Jamie and throw him off. But Aquamarine, she freezes them.
All of them. Yeah,
except Steven, I don't think. And Steven, he ends up saying that he's not his dad. And he says that he's his mom. He's Rose Quartz. And I like the fact that Steven's like, he's still like, I have to stop this. So he wants to end this, and he ends up going with Aquamarine and Topaz as the crystal gems tell him not to.
Yeah.
The episode ends with like, Steven, stop, don't do this and everything. And he's just like, I love you. And then it ends with them just like flying off. So, I mean, good moment for Steven. Kind of dumb. I don't know what's going to happen in Wanted. I'm sure nothing major is going to happen to him, but, him being alone, him and Lars against the Diamonds, I'm not sure if that's like the best team up, but we'll see. I just like the fact that Steven took on a more role of leadership in this episode. And I guess your thoughts?
Yeah, this all leads up from like decisions that Rose has made to him feeling like he's kind of trapped in like this stuff, but then kind of making the decision like, I am my mom and I'm going to do right. And I'm going to try to make up for the mistakes that she's made and show that like we can't, because he ultimately wants to have peace. And I know he hasn't technically said that, but just how Steven is as a character, that's definitely what he wants. And so I thought it was cool. They sacrificed himself. I didn't realize till after they left. I was like, oh, Lars is still on the ship. like I was like, oh, that he is still there.
Yeah, he picked the wrong place to hide, and plus, I think Lars was just like really scared. So like, even if he were to have like the opportunity to get up and just run out of the ship, which I don't think so, with both of the topazes right there, and then Aquamarine flying around, he didn't have the opportunity to get off. But if he did, he was just so scared that he couldn't do it. He just picked the wrong hiding place. Like if he had to like, I don't know, ran to the corner in front of the ship by the exit, he would have been fine. He would have been able to escape. But he decides to run down these steps, and it's just like, you're not gonna escape now.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what happens with that, with Lars now, because not only is Steven going into space, I'm glad that he's going to have someone else with him, and it's Lars, which is just kind of random, but it's also kind of feels like it's important for Lars as a character.
It's going to force the character to develop.
Yeah.
It's like he's pretty much put in a situation where like he's going to be scared. He's going to have to cooperate with Steven, so he's going to have to be somewhat nice. So there's some theories about this, but I want to get my thoughts quickly, and then we can just get into that and end this off.
Yeah.
This episode I thought was a lot more interesting than the rest of the episodes in the Steven Bomb. It had some action, it had some plot. I liked how planned out the story is. You know, the whole the Peridot thing, which was in the last episode. Or was that in this episode? Oh, that was in this episode. And then seeing Stevani, I thought that would have been cool, having her fight Topaz and everything. I like the fact that Steven, he was having trouble with this, and he came to a conclusion by the end of the episode. And as we said, it's important to note that Lars is still on the ship. And if you have any more thoughts on the episode, or is that it?
Yeah, that's it for me.
All right, so before you go, I want to ask you one more thing. Lars and Steven, they're the main focus of the Steven Universe Wanted special, and it looks like this whole thing started with the last Steven Bomb, where Steven meets Blue Diamond, and I guess it leads into her sending Aquamarine and Topaz to kidnap these humans. Actually, it started in season 1 with Peridot, with Steven giving this list of his friends and family to Peridot. So Blue Diamond's using this list. She wants to kidnap these people and everything, and it seems like she's trying to hurt Steven in some way. Steven, who is Rose Quartz, and she's just upset over the whole Pink Diamond being shattered thing. But Steven and Lars, they're alone on this ship. They're the only people on there. We're probably not going to see the crystal gems unless they come back to Earth. So we're going to get Steven and Lars for like 5 or 6 episodes. Will Steven and Lars fuse?
See, that's been a big theory for a lot of people. Will that happen? I could definitely see. He's fused with Connie before. That's interesting because that would be the first time two like males have fused on the show. Because the one thing about Stefani, what a lot of people I know like about that character is how like sexually ambiguous that character is, especially with like the name and just like the design. But this will blatantly be.
She looks like a girl though.
Yeah, well, I think that's the whole thing though, because it's well,
I guess it.
I think it's more they.
They, yeah, it's disrespectful. Sorry.
And I think that's like the whole point of that character too, which I think I really like Stefani as a character and as like the design. But I don't know. I don't know what power they would have. Like I could see it happening, just to like happen in like a situation. I could definitely see it. If like they're gonna end up getting closer together, like Lars might spill out his true feelings for once, and then I could see them, connecting that way, and them getting out of a situation because they're fused. I could definitely see that.
And we kind of already talked about how Lars and Steven, Steven was connected to Lars in the dreams, or he was able to take over his body.
Yeah, and they have that connection.
So I feel like that'll come up. Yeah. Like, we're already close.
Yeah.
I've already been
inside
your body. We can do this. We can fuse or something. Yeah. I already know what it feels like to be Lars. You just have to know what it feels like to be Steven or something.
I think it's going to be accidental. I don't see it happening on purpose. Because technically,
Lars obviously doesn't know what he's doing, so.
Because the fusion means a lot of things in this world. Like it is a lot of different themes and connotations. I remember somebody even talking about at one point that fusion's kind of like sex, in a way, but it's like it's like much more of like that connection between two like beings, and it's so powerful. And so, I mean, if it happens, it's a lot more questions are going to be raised, and a lot of just like, whoa, like it's definitely going to be interesting. So I'm interested to see what happens with that. I don't know if it's going to happen. I wouldn't mind it. I'm excited to see what that fusion is going to look like. Yeah, I don't even know.
You were saying like fusion is like sex, and I was thinking like when Pearl was like really into fusing with Garnet and everything, and she really enjoyed that. She would just do it even when it wasn't really needed, you know.
Yeah, because even back with the Lapis and Jasper thing, like that whole thing of when they're fusing, that was an abusive relationship. So that was the theme of that. So I guess fusion means different things to different people, or different gems, I guess.
It definitely seems intimate, even with Steven and Connie.
Exactly.
Like, they're like kids. But,
exactly. And especially like the gems on Earth, when they fuse, it means different from when like those homeworld gems. Because when all those rubies fuse, it feels like they're just fusing the fuse, you know. And the same.
Maybe
with,
the process has become more intimate on Earth, whereas on Homeworld it's pretty much just used. I think that's a plot point in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Garnet is a fusion of Ruby and Sapphire, just because like they love each other. Yeah. This represents their love.
Yes,
and like when Jasper fuses, she's using it as a weapon. Like
yes.
It's strictly like a battle thing. And then when like
but when Lapis was doing it, she felt so used and so uncomfortable, and that's why when that episode's great too. That's the like abusive relationship aspect. And then when
Ruby and Sapphire do it, it's like they were shunned by society.
Yeah,
because of it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like the themes of fusion are so complex and so fascinating. So it definitely will add a new layer if they do fuse together, because that just yeah.
I feel like they wouldn't go that route, like the romantic route. I feel like it's just like Steven and Lars might just be better friends at that point.
It would definitely be, because the theme of like just love in general. Love takes on so many different connotations. Like the love for like a friend is different from a love from another friend to like a different relative, to like your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. So if they fused, it could definitely be like brotherly love. Because I do think, at least on Earth, when someone fuses, that's like a type of love. Because I think Steven and Connie definitely love each other, but they don't love in like a romantic way. They love as like friends. And then
I don't know.
No, I'm serious. Like, because I have love for like some of my friends, but I'm not like in love with them.
Well, yeah, but I feel like Steven and Connie are like set up to become like a relationship at some point.
I'm saying because they're young now. And it's because Ruby and Sapphire definitely love each other. The Crystal Gems, they all have love for each other. That's why they can all fuse with each other so easily.
They have the most for Rose, though.
Yeah, and that's how they could fuse with Rose. When Pearl just loved doing it, loved fusing with Rose. So I think it if anything, it would definitely be brotherly love. If that's what fusion means for like on Earth. That's still a question. We don't exactly know what fusion means to like some of these characters, and especially to Steven. Like we know it means a lot to him. And like, especially when they came to that realization, when they were just like him and Connie were just fusing together to beat that guy, that kind of showed them just using that for something else, even though it was so intimate.
And then they didn't feel good.
Yeah, and they didn't feel good about it. Exactly. So it's a complicated thing. That's why fusion is so interesting. Like I like how they wrote fusion was not just like this one thing. Like, it can mean so many different things, and it means different things to different people. So.
I think you brought up the whole weapon thing. I wanted to touch on that.
Mm-hmm.
With Stevani, it's just Rose's sword. Like Connie uses that now, so like they fuse and they have the sword whenever the sword is on her. So I was thinking like Lars, he's gonna find some sort of gem weapon on the ship, and him and Steven are gonna get into a situation where like they're fighting someone. It's like we can't beat them, so they fuse, and then that'll be like Lars's weapon, and also have Steven's shield. Because I feel like only the gem weapons fuse, as far as we know at this point. Like the actual gem weapons that they can summon and everything. Yeah. So his weapon at this point would probably just be something they found on the ship. I I did see a video. I didn't watch the video, but I saw like it pop up on the recommended, and it had like a potential name for the fusion, and it said Stars. I thought that was pretty good.
That's a good name.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome name.
Because Leavin sounds. No, yeah, Stefani's kind of weird.
Yeah, Stefani sounds a little weird, but Stars, that sounds amazing. And the artwork that they had as a thumbnail, it looked like the fusion would look more so like Lars, and maybe have like features of Steven.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be cool.
Anything will look better than the Amethyst Steven fusion. That's still like the most interesting character design ever.
Three arms.
Yeah, and just
the other arm just like flailing around.
So yeah.
But if we don't have anything else on that, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right. Tell the people where they can find you. And thank you so much for doing this video and the previous video with me. We haven't done videos in a while, but I think we were able to get right back into it. And it didn't really sound awkward or anything. So,
yeah, you guys can definitely find me at YouTube and Twitter at EarthEagleGT, and on Hybrid Network where I post videos for them. Yes, thank you, Sir Mel, for having me. It wasn't awkward. It was cool. You guys should definitely check out all his stuff. He posts way more frequently than on his main channel than I do, but I'm going to start getting back on that this summer. And I'm also on Music Men podcast, which is through Hybrid Network on the Oxcord channel too. So check out all that cool, different stuff. Yeah.
We'll have all that in the description. Just gotta find all that, and I guess you can send it to me. And yeah, that's about it. Anyways, that's it from me, from EarthEagleGT. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like my content or EarthEagleGT's content, you can check out our channels. You can subscribe. Don't forget to follow both of us on Twitter and like my Facebook page. I don't think you have a Facebook page.
No, not yet.
Links are below. Yeah, not yet. I'm Sirmo11.
I'm EarthEagleGT.
See you next time, and peace out.
Peace. Like much more of like that connection between two like beings, and it's so powerful. And so, I mean, if it happens, it's a lot more questions are going to be raised, and a lot of just like, whoa, like it's definitely going to be interesting. So I'm interested to see what happens with that. I don't know if it's going to happen. I wouldn't mind it. I'm excited to see what that fusion is going to look like. Yeah, I don't even know.
You were saying like fusion is like sex, and I was thinking like when Pearl was like really into fusing with Garnet and everything, and she really enjoyed that. She would just do it even when it wasn't really needed, you know.
Yeah, because even back with the Lapis and Jasper thing, like that whole thing of when they're fusing, that was an abusive relationship. So that was the theme of that. So I guess fusion means different things to different people, or different gems, I guess.
It definitely seems intimate, even with Steven and Connie.
Exactly.
Like, for like kids. But,
exactly. And especially like the gems on Earth, when they fuse, it means different from when like those homeworld gems. Because when all those rubies fuse, it feels like they're just fusing the fuse, you know. And the same.
Maybe the process has become more intimate on Earth, whereas on Homeworld it's pretty much just used. I think that's a plot point in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Garnet is a fusion of Ruby and Sapphire, just because like they love each other. Yeah. This represents their love.
Yes.
And then like when Jasper fuses, she's using it as a weapon. Like
yes.
It's strictly like a battle thing. And then when like
but when Lapis was doing it, she felt so used and so uncomfortable. And that's why when that episode's great too. That's the like abusive relationship aspect. And then when
Ruby and Sapphire do it, it's like they were shunned by society.
Yeah.
Because of it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like the themes of fusion are so complex and so fascinating. So it definitely will add a new layer if they do fuse together. Because that just yeah.
I feel like they wouldn't go that route, like the romantic route. I feel like it's just like Steven and Lars might just be better friends at that point.
It would definitely be because the theme of like just love in general, love takes on so many different connotations. Like the love for like a friend is different from a love from another friend to like a different relative, to like your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. So if they fused, it could definitely be like brotherly love. Because I do think, at least on Earth, when someone fuses, that's like a type of love. Because I think Steven and Connie definitely love each other, but they don't love in like a romantic way. They love as like friends. And then
I don't know. I don't know.
no, I'm serious. Like, because I have love for like some of my friends, but I'm not like in love with them.
Well, yeah, but I feel like Steven and Connie are like set up to become like a relationship at some point.
Bitch, I'm saying because they're young now. And it's because Ruby and Sapphire definitely love each other. The Crystal Gems, they all have love for each other. That's why they can all fuse with each other so easily.
They have the most for Rose, though.
Yeah, and that's how they could fuse with Rose. When Pearl just loved doing it, love fusing with Rose. So I think it if anything, it would definitely be brotherly love. If that's what fusion means for like on Earth, that's still the question. What does we don't exactly know what fusion means to like some of these characters, and especially to Steven. Like we know it means a lot to him. And like, especially when they came to that realization when they were just like him and Connie were just fusing together to beat that guy, that kind of showed them just using that for something else, even though it was so intimate.
And then they didn't feel good.
Yeah, and they didn't feel good about it. Exactly. So it's a complicated thing. That's why fusion is so interesting. Like I like how they wrote fusion was not just like this one thing. Like, it can mean so many different things, and it means different things to different people. So.
I think you brought up the whole weapon thing. I wanted to touch on that.
Mm-hmm.
With Stevonnie, it's just Rose's sword. Like Connie uses that now, so like they fuse and they have the sword whenever the sword is on her. So I was thinking like Lars, he's gonna find some sort of gem weapon on the ship, and him and Steven are gonna get into a situation where like they're fighting someone. It's like we can't beat them, so they fuse, and then that'll be like Lars's weapon, and also have Steven's shield. Because I feel like only the gem weapons fuse, as far as we know at this point. Like the actual gem weapons that they can summon and everything.
Yeah.
So his weapon at this point would probably just be something they found on the ship. I did see a video. I didn't watch the video, but I saw like it pop up on the recommended. And it had like a potential name for the fusion, and it said Stars. I thought that was pretty good.
That's a good name.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome name.
Because Leavin sounds. No, yeah, Stefani's kind of weird.
Yeah, Stevonnie sounds a little weird, but Stars, that sounds amazing. And the artwork that they had as a thumbnail, it looked like the fusion would look more so like Lars, and maybe have like features of Steven.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be cool.
Anything will look better than the Amethyst Steven fusion. That's still like the most interesting character design ever.
Three arms.
Yeah, and just
the other one just like flailing around.
So yeah.
But if we don't have anything else on that, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right. Tell the people where they can find you. And thank you so much for doing this video and the previous video with me. We haven't done videos in a while, but I think we were able to get right back into it. And it didn't really sound awkward or anything. So,
yeah, you guys can definitely find me at YouTube and Twitter at EarthEagleGT, and on Hybrid Network where I post videos for them. Yes, thank you, Sir Mel, for having me. It wasn't awkward. It was cool. You guys should definitely check out all his stuff. He posts way more frequently than on his main channel than I do, but I'm going to start getting back on that this summer. And I'm also on Music Men podcast, which is through Hybrid Network on the Oxcord channel too. So check out all that cool, different stuff. Yeah.
We'll have all that in the description. Just got to find all that, and I guess you can send it to me. And yeah, that's about it. Anyways, that's it from me, from EarthEagleGT. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like my content or EarthEagleGT's content, you can check out our channels. You can subscribe. Don't forget to follow both of us on Twitter and like my Facebook page. I don't think you have a Facebook page.
No. Not yet.
Links are below. Yeah, not yet. I'm SirMo11.
I'm EarthEagleGT.
See you next time, and peace out.
Peace. Definitely check out all his stuff. He posts way more frequently than on his main channel than I do, but I'm going to start getting back on that this summer. And I'm also on Music Men podcast, which is through Hybrid Network on the Oxcord channel too. So check out all that cool, different stuff. Yeah.
We'll have all that in the description. Just got to find all that, and I guess you can send it to me. And yeah, that's about it. Anyways, that's it from me, from EarthEagleGT. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like my content or EarthEagleGT's content, you can check out our channels. You can subscribe. Don't forget to follow both of us on Twitter and like my Facebook page. I don't think you have a Facebook page.
No. Not yet.
Links are below. Yeah, not yet. I'm Sermo11.
I'm EarthEagleGT.
See you next time, and peace out.
Peace. T.
See you next time, and peace out.
Peace.